In case you missed it, the world has gone green. There are now over 2 million Priuses on the road, and Mini, makers of one of the most fun cars ever in history, now makes a rechargeable scooter. Even the mighty Audi R8 has spawned an electric cousin, the e-tron. But there is one group of cars that's sticking up its middle finger to all those environmental types. The cars themselves are getting bigger and the engines are getting more powerful. It's possibly the last bastion of petrol hedonism. I am, of course, talking about the hot hatch. The Renault Megane RS Sport is one of the newest of that unruly bunch, and we've brought it to the kind of place where it can have a bit of fun, mid-vol racetrack. There are a few things for which the French are famous. They're lovers, not fighters, and their style is something called avant-garde. But this car is taking the fight to the Germans. It may not win, but it'll look good while doing it. The regular Megane is a fantastic looking thing, so to make the flagship model ugly would be a little bit difficult. They've added some gloss black bits, some daytime running lights, and some 18-inch wheels, and it's taken the Megane from good looking to great. It has a bit of time to bask in its best looking title, but there is some tough competition on the way. The new Ford Focus ST has just been unveiled at the Paris Motor Show, plus there's a new Opel Astra that'll no doubt spawn an OPC version, and Volkswagen will soon have the Golf R. For now though, there's nothing to touch the Megane. The new version may not look much like the previous Megane RS, but they have a few things in common. One of those things is a very plain interior. That's not to say it's bad. I mean, it's got good seats and a whole bunch of toys. But it's not flashy and it's not over the top, which is, I suppose, bad news if you expect that kind of thing in a hot hatch. Me, I like the fact that everything's neatly packaged and it's all simply laid out. And just about everything can be controlled from the steering wheel or the satellite controls just behind it. The sat-nav system is easy enough to figure out thanks to the big color screen and controls in the center console, and it has full iPod control, although the sound system is a little disappointing, especially considered this car's top-of-the-line tag of 350,000 Rand. But then again, with a car like this, you really should be listening to the engine noises, not your Vivaldi collection. Turbo motors don't produce the best sounds in the world, but Renault have tweaked things a bit so that when this is producing its 186 kilowatts and 340 newton meters, it sounds like Satan himself is breathing through your exhaust pipe. And that devil breath will get the car from 0 to 100 in 6.1 seconds and onto a top speed of 250 kilometers an hour. You don't have to push this car too hard to get a sense of speed. I'm not sure if it's the cabin that kind of wraps around you that makes things seem like they're rushing past faster than they are, or that yellow rev counter with its shift light that adds to the sense of occasion, but this RS makes the world blur by in a very satisfying fashion. It's pretty obvious in a straight line, but eventually you will have to turn a corner, and that's where this engine and gearbox combo gets a little bit tricky. If you use the tried and trusted slow in fast out method, you find it kind of turns into slow in slow out because the torque peak only comes in at about 3000 RPM, so you have to keep the revs up. Which requires a bit of confidence in your machinery, not to mention your ability. The upside of that later than usual arrival of torque is that it hangs around for a bit longer. The shove is there all the way up to the red line. The 6-speed manual box is a very nice set of bits to operate. The clutch bites hard and early, and the shift action is short and sharp, making gear changes as enjoyable as the rest of the experience. And that's what the RS Sport is. It's not earth-shattering or competition-killing. It's just good. I mean, the power's there, not always when you need it. And the grip is there, it just needs more feel through the steering wheel. As far as hot hatches go, the RS Sport is a good one, but it's not great. For me, that's disappointing because the previous incarnation, the R26, was hugely enjoyable. But all is not lost because Renault, in all their French wisdom, have provided not one version of the RS, but two. And this is the tighter, sharper, blingier Cup version. Did I mention that it's more expensive as well? For 50,000 Rand, you get a different set of wheels, you get the sat-nav taken out and the electric seat removed. But it is better. promise. This is one of those times where you'll be shelling out more money for what doesn't look like more car. It has the same power and the same brakes. It looks similar and sounds identical, but most of the extras are things you can't exactly point to. Things like better spring rates and stiffer anti-roll bars, and most importantly, a limited slip diff. Remember that slow in, slow out conundrum? Well, the RS Cup doesn't really have that problem. Thanks to the LS diff, you can kind of carry a lot more speed into the corner because you know you're going to get the best possible traction on the way out. The steering feels the same, but somehow the traction is just amplified. On the inside, the seats may not be electric, but they are proper Recaro race seats with great support. And the cute GPS screen has been replaced with a monochrome display that brings up all kinds of useless info, like boost, torque, brake pressure, and G-forces. A whole bunch of things that you really shouldn't be looking at while driving a car in a manner that would cause all those graphs to work properly in the first place. But it's not all pointless. The most important bit, though, is the torque adjustment. It starts with snow, which is pretty useless. You can adjust it to progressive, better, linear, like that, sport, not too bad, extreme, I'll take that. Dial in your preference, give it a second or two and feel the difference it makes. Driving this car in its sport mode makes it a far better beast and almost makes it worth the 50 grand extra. If you're the type who likes to make decisions based on figures, well then, let's look at those. Manufacturers love to make claims about the performance of their cars. The only problem is to test that stuff you need specialist equipment. Fortunately for us, the Megane RS Cup has got some of that equipment. Over there is a 0 to 100 and a quarter mile distance timer. And over here is the Megane spec sheet. Their 0 to 100 time is 6.1 seconds and their quarter mile sprint claim is 14.1 seconds. We didn't quite match those figures, but that had more to do with a slippery track than a lack of ability. When you get your Megane RS, find yourself an empty racetrack and let us know the results. The Megane RS is the newest of the hot hatches, but it's not perfect. The sport model makes you work really hard to get the best out of it, and the Cup version is better, but it's also 400,000 rand. For now, it's king of the hill, but it will have a very tough time once the new models from its competition hits the streets. A brilliant engine with loads of urge, a slick gearbox and a chassis designed for supreme handling are the standout features of the latest RS. Not surprisingly then, performance is in the top league as far as hot hatches go, but the steering could be more communicative, and that urge comes at a price.